Oh, hi guys, welcome back to my channel. And today I am doing a reaction video. We've been seeing a lot of these culture shock videos from people who've moved, relocated from other countries to South Africa, and some from African countries, some from Europe, some from the States, and other countries. I think I've seen, yes, Asian as well, who have moved to South Africa, and they talk about the 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 um, the culture shocks, the things that shocked them when they got to South Africa for the first time. So I'd like to react and maybe bring some things into perspective, especially things that they question. If I can explain it, I'll explain it. I'll make it simpler. Hopefully they'll see it and understand where we come from, and also see how similar we are as a people. We are more similar than different, and I know they do point out some similarities and some differences as well. So let's enjoy. Okay, so this is our first video. I chose this because it only has 6 points.
6 cultural shocks that I experienced in South Africa. Welcome to my channel. As many of you know, I recently traveled to South Africa for a dive training, and these are some of the things which I saw, which I found them a bit different and quite strange. Let's get right into it. Number 1. South Africans drive on the left side of the road and their steering wheel is on the right hand side. Yeah, I know this may be a bit confusing for you. It was confusing for me as well. You see, when you enter a car in Cameroon, you'll most likely find the steering wheel and the driver on the left hand side of the car. But in South Africa, if you enter a car, you'll see the steering wheel and the driver on the right side of the car, and then they drive on the left hand side of the road. And the first few days in which I was there, it was difficult for me to figure out which road goes up and which one goes down. I think even the way they go about their runabouts, the way they drive through their runabout is a bit strange. And based on what I've watched in movies, I believe that this road system is quite similar to the ones to Indians. I think the Indians have this similar kind of road system. And quick advice, guys, if you're going to South Africa for the first time, or if you're in SA for the first time, and if you're not familiar with the road system over there, please, for God's sake, do not drive a car because you'll be causing serious accidents.
Okay, that one is interesting. And it goes back, it's crazy how first episode goes back to colonization. I didn't want to do a political topic, but depending on who colonized you, then the infrastructure and the way you travel is influenced by who colonized you. I know Cameroon was colonized by the French, and the French do drive on the right side of the road, and their cars are left hand drives. And we were colonized by the Brits, as the same way. The Indians that she made an example of were also colonized by the Brits, right? And that's why they drive on the same side. So that's why, that's the influence. Who colonized you? So you drive how your colonizer taught you to drive, basically. Let's continue.
Let's get to number 2. Number 2. The length of their school skirts was a shocker to me. You see, on 2 occasions while we were driving through the highway, we saw some secondary school students returning back from school, and the length of their skirt, it was quite short. I mean, really pretty short, and it was really surprising to me. But from what I figured out, it is part of their lifestyle and culture. And now, number 3.
Well, I like that she touched on the fact that it's part of our lifestyle and culture. Well, culturally, young girls in South Africa, well, they barely wear anything. If you are familiar with the reed dance or virginity testing ceremonies, you'll see how young virgin girls wear tiny skirts and like barely anything actually, and they have their breasts bare and their buttocks also bare. There is a cultural influence, and I don't want to take away from the fact that there are schools that have a strict skirt length rule, and there are parents who have a strict skirt length rule as well. It wasn't that strict at my home. I just loved a long skirt. My skirts were always under the knee. So this is the knee. My skirts were here. I just loved how it looked, and everyone else would dress however they want, as long as your uniform is neat and everything is in place and you're not showing your private parts. It's basically okay. There are schools who are very, very strict about length, such that only 2 fingers above the knee, if the knee is exposed, that's the maximum, and others maybe 3, but nothing more than that. Yeah.
Number 3. South Africans do not celebrate Women's Day on 8 March. Their own Women's Day is commemorated on August 9, and there is not really much ambience attached to it. Unlike us, there is really not much fuss about buying the Women's Day fabric or going to drink and eat in bars and clubs or engaging in festivities and march parades. No. On that day, a public holiday is observed, then they celebrate at their individual homes and at their individual levels. And now we get to...
Okay, the reason we celebrate our Women's Day on the 9th of August is because we are commemorating the day when the women marched to the union buildings, if I'm not mistaken, to march against the past laws, the Dompas laws. There were laws up in apartheid times in South Africa where there were demarcations, right, and segregated areas where you are not allowed to cross a certain barrier without a passport or a passport within the country. There are areas that you needed to enter with a passport, and these women came together. They marched to the union buildings against the use of past laws, because what would happen is if you are found in an area that your passport, your dompas, says you don't live in, you'd be arrested, you'd be beaten up, a lot would happen. So a lot of their husbands were suffering under this regime. So if they came home and the sun set while they were home, now they'd be arrested for the fact that they're at an area their passport says they shouldn't be. So it was more of we're tired of this. Can you let our husbands travel in and out of our homesteads freely? We also want to move to where they are and go visit them without fearing to be arrested if the police find me at that place and my passport says I should not be there after 6 or after sundown. Yeah.
Number 4. Number 4. These people are really into cattle rain. And I think this one is mostly common with the Zulu people. And I saw a cow in almost every backyard in Sodwana, KwaZulu-Natal. This is surprising to me because in Cameroon and most parts of Nigeria and neighboring countries, cattle rain is mostly done by Fulanis on Boros, and they settle a bit far from other settlers, and they're always up the hills and they're hardly steady, moving on from one place to another, searching for food for the cows. But in Sodwana, it is quite different, or should I say in Zulu, it is quite different. Because if you look at their infrastructures, it shows that they are settled there permanently and everybody has a cow. And I think some of them have cows, even though it is not your primary source of income, as a Fulanis on Boros. And there is a cow in almost every backyard, and on some occasions when even applying the road, you see 1 or 2 cows by the roadside eating, sometimes even without herdsman. The cows are just feeling fear, and it's just amazing to see. And I
find this one funny and interesting. Well, in Zulu we say ubuhle bendoda iyinkomo zayo, noma ubuhle bendoda izinkomo zayo, meaning a man's beauty is revealed by his kraal, by how many cows he has. We know how strong you are, your social setting and your social, in the social hierarchy. how manly you are is measured by how many cows you have, by your cattle. Unfortunately, there's one thing that's a bit misinformed. Not everyone has a cow. Not every household has a cow, but a lot of proud homeowners, especially in the rural areas, have cows, and a lot of people who are living in urban areas and developed areas really aspire, like they wish to one day own some land in the rural areas and have some cows, some goats, some sheep, and chickens. It's a sense of pride. Having cows means, you're established, you know what you're doing. And they're a social currency, right? And they're not necessarily to be sold or to trade with. They are used to plow fields, yes. They are used whenever there are ceremonies, whenever there are weddings. You don't buy meat, you just slaughter a cow. There's a cow here, there's a sheep here, you just slaughter. So there's meat for everyone. And then we use the skin as well to make traditional garments, to make carpets for the floor, and other leather requiring utensils like drums and things like that. Not everyone has a cow, but everyone wishes. Not everyone wishes. I know some people don't care a damn about farm life, but but it's a social currency. It gives you that, you're a man with his own cows and you know what you're doing. It gives a facade of you have your shit together. Sorry, excuse the language. You have your things together and you know what you're doing. Yeah.
I find this part of Zulu very amazing because I'm sure these people should be rich people. It is not easy to own a cow. Don't talk much of cows. And from the little research that I did, I gathered that cows are very important in the traditions and cultures of the Zulu people, indicate power, and it is very significant in traditional activities like marriages and their historical attachment to cows, and they mean a lot to the Zulu people. 1, 2, 3, 4, and number 5. I thought Cameroonians love potatoes, but no. Give it up for South Africans. In fact, they're supposed to take the trophy for being the most potato lovers. Guys, these people love potatoes. What we call here Irish potatoes, huh? If you go there in South Africa, you'll see it in almost every meal. You'll see chops of potatoes in their soup, their rice, and even in pies. And they use it to make fries, chips. They even blend it and make a soup. In fact, almost every dish you find potatoes there. And some of the dishes are really, really nice. And when it comes to their fries, South African fries, give it up for them. They deserve another award for their fries.
Well, with potatoes are used to make the stew or the curry, to increase it in number, right? To make it multiply. So we put potatoes so that the pot gets filled up. There won't be a lot of meat, but there'll be potatoes and carrots and other vegetables so that there's more soup to go around. So you might have one piece of meat, like a piece of chicken, potatoes and carrots and everything. It's just used to make food more and more filling. And I know it's crazy because we would have potatoes with pap, which is a starch, potatoes with rice, potatoes with samp, potatoes starch on starch. Like you can have a whole plate you'll have rice, a potato curry, potato salad, potato wedges, please, on one plate. And it's all delicious, tastes different, amazing. And yes, fried chips, we call them potato chips. We don't call them fries much, and until recent years where people call them fries. They're amazing because we use fresh potatoes, fry them fresh. We hardly use bag or frozen bags of potatoes, so they always have that freshness and the spicing and the sauces. Please.
And the last shocker, number 6. This is another aspect which I found a bit different. Most of the houses or public spaces which I visited, even at the airport, this is the flush button that I saw. I think before coming to SA, I saw this flush button just once at a friend's place here in Cameroon. My entire life, I've seen this flush button just once. And the one in which I use, or which I've seen people use regularly here in Cameroon, is this is the one in which I've seen people use regularly. And this particular one, I think I saw it just once or twice there in South Africa. And there you go, people.
That's interesting. I never thought a toilet would make a cut. Okay. Of something that culturally shocked you. Weird. We have all sorts. We have all sorts of toilets. We have the ones that you flush on the wall, ones that you flush from the wall like this, on the cistern, on top, on all kinds. Automatic flushing toilets as well. At some places, they are not widespread as yet, but some places, like I know the Durban ICC has the automatic flushing toilets. If you get up, it flushes. And I don't know, I found it weird how she said she had only seen it in fancy places in Cameroon. It's a toilet. It's a toilet. And that's it. She had said 6 things. And those are her 6 things that she she found were culturally shocking in South Africa. That was very interesting. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope my explanations were clear. And if you have any more questions, please hit me up. Thank you.